years of unfathomable sadness. Yummy.
Welcome to Watch Mojo. And today we're counting down our picks for the worst, terrible, and downright despicable actions done by Eric Cartman. Since plot points will be discussed, a spoiler alert is in effect.
Do you know how serious this is? Well, Kyle, maybe I was just trying to prove a point.
Number 30. He stole Jimmy's joke. Jimmy comes up with a great joke involving fish sticks while Cartman was over.
Say, Eric, do you like fish sticks?
Yeah?
You like putting fish sticks in your mouth?
Yeah?
Well, what are you, Eric? A gay fish?
The joke is so good it takes the nation by storm, eventually making its way onto the late-night talk shows. Cartman decides to patent it, believing that he and Jimmy should be paid for the work they did. However, Cartman didn't really do anything other than lay on the couch and eat chips. When Jimmy points this out, Cartman gaslights him into thinking they're partners and exaggerates his contributions to the joke. It's sad to see Jimmy distraught by Cartman taking credit for something he didn't do.
So, here it is. How do you take credit for something you didn't do? That is bullcrap, Jimmy, and you know it! I had just as much to do with the fish sticks joke as you did!
Number 29. He ate all the KFC skins. The boys are excited to eat some KFC.
Dude, where is she? I can't wait. God, this is gonna be so yummy.
When Stan's mom arrives with the Kentucky Fried Good stuff, she tells them to unload the rest of the groceries before they can dig in. Uncharacteristically, Cartman points out that if they all work together, they can get the job done faster. This was just a ploy so that he could eat all the chicken skins. When Kyle, Stan, and Kenny return, they're understandably upset. It was an incredibly selfish act made worse by his deceit.
Well, this time he's gone too far. Why do we even hang out with him anyway? Hello? I've been saying this for years.
It proves to be the last straw for them, and they decide to ignore Cartman, who goes on to think he died, and he's a wandering soul. Number 28. He aided in the Beaverton flood. Stan and Cartman play in a boat when Cartman tells Stan to drive it around the marina. Cartman insists that the boat belongs to his Uncle Roy and that he'll take full responsibility if anything should happen.
I don't think your uncle'd want us driving it. Nobody's gonna know if we just drive it around the marina real quick. Look, if anything happens, I'll take full responsibility.
Of course, Stan recklessly drives the boat around and crashes it into a beaver dam. Not only is the boat destroyed and the dam damaged, but Cartman reveals that he doesn't have an uncle. He tells Stan to act like they were never there. Stan later finds out that the accident caused the town of Beaverton to flood, ruining people's lives. He's horrified about what happened, but Cartman is as callous as ever, saying it's the town's residents' fault for not getting out in time.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. Pretty funny? Dude, we did that! That was our fault! Hey, no, dog. We aren't the ones who built a town beneath a giant beaver dam, okay? That's their fault.
Number 27. He exploited his Yelp status. Yelp can be a useful tool for deciding where to go to eat. For Eric Cartman, it's a tool to flex his power and use it to denigrate local restaurant owners.
I was thinking of giving this place 5 stars.
Really?
Yeah, but I'm kind of teetering on 5 stars or 1 star.
Oh, no 1 star, please. What can we do
I mean, I could probably be persuaded with some free desserts.
He mercilessly threatens to give 1-star reviews if he doesn't get his way. When the restaurant owners fight back and ban Yelpers from their establishments, Cartman rallies his fellow Yelpers to fight back, and literal war breaks out between the two sides.
So now rise up and fight for your leader! Fight together and show the restaurants that our food critic does matter!
The lesson here is to not give Cartman any sense of authority because he'll take it to the extreme, even if it's just within the realm of food criticism. Number 26. He used stem cells to create Shakey's Pizza. Cartman comes across a bunch of stem cells and decides he's going to cash in big time. He tries to bring Stan, Kyle, and Kenny in on his discovery, but they outright reject him.
With all the research that's going on, stem cells are worth 3 times their weight in gold. What I have in my backyard is an aborted treasure chest. I hate you so much.
He calls around to various universities and medical research companies to sell the stem cells and eventually finds a place. He discovers that research using stem cells has been banned. At the same time, Kenny is diagnosed with a terminal illness, so Cartman petitions Congress to reverse the ban. When it seems like Cartman is going to use the stem cells to cure Kenny, he instead uses them to create a Shakey's Pizza. It's incredibly cold-hearted, and we understand Kyle's anger toward Cartman.
Hey, I wasn't Kenny's worst friend. Cartman was.
Number 25. He became a Somalian pirate. After thinking pirates are back in fashion and with the promise of adventure and treasure on the seas, Cartman convinces a small group of friends to move to Somalia to escape homework, rules, and chores.
We set course tomorrow. I purchased everyone's ticket online using me mother's credit card. And your mom is okay with that? Dude, I'm a pirate. What the devil do I care what me mother thinks anymore?
Once in Somalia, they join with locals and begin raiding ships for treasure. As Butters and I come to learn, being a pirate isn't about fun and adventure. Most are forced into this way of life due to the extremely poor economic conditions and are trying to survive. Eventually, Cartman's crew wants to go back home when they realize life back in South Park wasn't so bad.
We really had it pretty good back in America. I mean, sure, it's easy to think our lives are boring and full of rules, but a lot of people have it way worse.
He refuses to acknowledge anything beyond his fantasy and would have stayed if the Somali pirates weren't killed by U.S. soldiers. Number 24. He forced Butters to gain and lose weight. There was a time when Jared Fogle was known for having lost weight eating Subway sandwiches. When visiting South Park, the boys find out that Jared lost weight with the help of aides and limiting what he ate at Subway.
Scott is my personal trainer and Tyler is my dietitian. Hello.
Oh, AIDS, AIDS.
Yeah, hooray for AIDS!
Cartman comes up with a plan to do the same thing but have City Walk sponsor them. He forces Butters to gain weight in order to claim losing it on a City Walk diet. Getting Butters skinny again proves difficult, and the boys resort to DIY liposuction.
I think this is a bad idea, fellas. I feel woozy.
Cartman, along with Stan and Kyle, completely disregard Butters' health and safety for the sake of gaining fame and fortune. Number 23. He shot Tolkien. Cartman is actually unusually nice to Tolkien, which arouses everyone's suspicions.
Did you know if it wasn't for African Americans, we wouldn't have rock and roll? So cool that we have a black president. It's about time. Is he doing it again?
He's doing it again.
Cartman is rarely altruistic, so we shouldn't be surprised to find out he thinks that Tolkien, along with other black folk, will rampage as the result of George Zimmerman being acquitted for the shooting of Trayvon Martin. Convinced that the only way to stop this from happening, Cartman ends up shooting Tolkien, claiming that he was justified as he was standing his ground.
He was on my ground. You all saw that, right? Everything inside the red line is mine.
Not only do we see his racism and bigotry on full display, but his calm demeanor is just frightening. Thankfully, Tolkien survives. Number 22. He got everyone to report their parents. Kyle isn't allowed to go to a concert, and when he completes a list of chores given to him in exchange for being able to go, they still deny him.
You weren't supposed to actually do it.
But I did. I brought democracy to Cuba.
We know, Kyle, but we just don't want you going to their concert.
But that's not fair.
While venting his frustration to Cartman and Stan, Cartman suggests that the police can take his parents away if he says he was touched in a bad way. Sure enough, Kyle's parents are arrested and the boys use the opportunity to do things they couldn't before. Soon, they start calling the cops to have their parents taken away, and South Park is devoid of adults.
There's not an adult left in town. They've all been arrested, and the ones that weren't arrested have moved away because they're scared of being arrested.
To be fair, Cartman probably didn't know exactly the full impact of the accusations the kids were throwing around, but even still, it's grossly irresponsible. Number 21. He ruined peace in the Middle East. Apparently, in Jewish, Islamic, and Christian tradition, there's a prophecy that the appearance of a ginger cow will bring about the end. At first, the followers of each group think it refers to the destruction of the world, but realize it's the end of interreligious conflict.
Today begins the new Israel. Today, we are all united as one.
Kyle knows that Cartman faked the cow but doesn't say anything because he wants to maintain the peace that's been achieved. Of course, Cartman uses that fact against Kyle by constantly humiliating him. Stan accidentally jeopardizes everything when claiming the cow was a miracle when the prophecy called for a fat kid to have decorated it. Cartman has the chance to preserve the peace but decides against it. It should come as no surprise that he's unfazed by his decision.
Tell them, Cartman!
No, Kyle, you were right. I see now that little lies can cause huge problems.
But it's the truth!
No, it's not, Kyle.
Number 20. He pretended to be psychic. Have you ever seen those old clips that show people trying to fly with giant wings attached to their arms?
I don't know. That looks pretty high up.
Yeah, I think it'd be better to start lower.
Dude, I really don't think it's smart, Cartman.
Cartman tried the same thing and landed himself in the hospital. The police mistake his insight for being psychic, and from there, Eric puts on a show. Cartman spends the rest of the episode using food fantasies as fake psychic predictions to garner favor and fame with law enforcement.
Ice cream. Covered with chocolate sprinkles. Double stuffed Oreos.
It isn't the worst thing he's ever done, but it does illustrate just how badly he wants to feel far more important than he really is. Through his selfishness, innocent people are arrested while the guilty roam free.
I'm afraid that my powers are not for sale. And by that, I mean they absolutely are for sale. Let's go.
Number 19. He tormented a nanny. Cesar Millan is a highly respected dog trainer who just so happens to get a job helping Cartman's mom tame her son.
When good dogs go bad, there's one man who's their best friend.
Millan's success with Eric comes from treating him in the same fashion as he does his canine customers. Leanne only turns to him after Nanny 911 and Super Nanny fail miserably to curtail Cartman's behavior.
This child's behavior is totally unacceptable. But there's no child too tough for Super Nanny. In just 3 days' time, you're going to see a new Eric Cartman.
We've always known that Eric isn't keen on any kind of discipline, but spitting on someone or driving them into a mental institution brings his neurotic behavior to a whole new level. It's unfortunate Milan's treatment didn't last very long.
And then we'll go to Target and I'll buy you a Mega Ranger.
Could I perhaps have 2 Mega Rangers?
Number 18. He drank Kenny's ashes. One of the running gags in Season 6 was that Kenny's soul was stuck inside of Cartman. After seemingly dying for good near the end of Season 5, we learned later that he had been cremated.
Here he is, boys. Our dear little Kenny.
You turned him into a teapot?
Cartman mistakenly thinks Kenny's ashes are chocolate milk powder and mixes them into a drink. Unlike many of the other entries on this list, consuming Kenny may have been horrific, but at least it wasn't intentional.
I don't think that chocolate milk mix agreed with my stomach.
Given the fact that far more outrageous things have been done in the real world, it's at least not as far-fetched as other things on this list.
Saddam, I've been hearing rumors that you're secretly building weapons of mass destruction up here.
Number 17. He created a church to con people out of money. Early in the show's run, South Park did a 2-part episode focusing on how religious leaders can use fear to coerce young people into church.
Hello, everyone. Today, we're going to talk about hell. Hell is not a very nice place.
Scared of ending up in hell, Cartman appears to start his own church to try and help his fellow classmates. All is not as it seems, however. After seeing a televangelist solicit money from his parishioners, Cartman starts asking his followers to give $1 every time they attend.
And now I'm receiving a message directly from God. God is telling me that each and every one of you is to walk up to the stage and give me $1.
It's all one giant scam as we see Cartman literally rolling around in his money. Forever obsessed with finding cash, we learn just how far he'll go to snag one more greenback.
So we will build a new church with crystal walls, a ceiling 80 feet high, and a slide that connects this partner to this partner.
Number 16. His PlayStation plots. If there's one thing we've learned about Cartman over the years, it's that he's undeniably selfish.
I told you, the new Sony PSP game machine goes on sale at 7 a.m. today. I have to be the first to get one. Come on!
This is on full display when Kenny gets his hands on a PlayStation Portable, which drives Cartman to show his true colors. After Kenny ends up in a coma, Cartman insists the game system should go to him.
Who cares? Kenny's dead! When do I take possession of my PSP, sir?
In a nod to the Terry Schiavo case, Cartman pretends to want to ease Kenny's suffering by taking him off of life support after being hit by an ice cream truck. Cartman has no interest in helping Kenny. All he wants is the video game machine, and we learn quickly he's willing to literally kill for it.
You just want him dead so you can have a stupid PSP.
Stupid? PSP is stupid? Did you all hear that? I mean, this isn't about PSP, Kyle.
Now that's downright cold. Number 15. He mistreated a little person. When this episode comes up in conversation, it's usually about Randy's terrible guess on Wheel of Fortune.
10 seconds, Mr. Marsh.
Well, I know it, but I don't think I should say it.
But there's a whole side plot around Cartman's treatment of a sensitivity spokesperson named David Nelson. As a little person, Cartman stops at nothing to poke fun at Nelson's disability.
Eric, Mr. Nelson is concerned about how you respond to little people.
Laughing at the way he speaks, walks, and interacts, Cartman never once thinks of the consequences of what he's saying. Even when Nelson gets the kids to call Eric fat, he still doesn't see the irony in his behavior. They ultimately end up in a playground brawl, to which Cartman still finds himself laughing at all of it. Number 14. He locked Butters in a bomb shelter. It's Kyle's birthday, and for his party, he's taking his friends to the famed Casa Bonita restaurant. Being Cartman's favorite, he's immediately psyched to be going, only to have his dream shattered when Kyle tells him Butters is coming instead.
I'm gonna take Butters. He invited me to his birthday party last month, so I owe him one.
Butters? You're gonna take that butthole? Why?
Cartman proceeds to trap Butters in a bomb shelter. Also, he'll miss the party, and Kyle will bring Cartman instead.
No matter what happens, no matter what you hear, do not come out. If I don't make it back in time with the others, then it will be up to you to repopulate the Earth.
It's yet another prime example of how Eric's selfish behavior is truly dangerous to those around him. All he's concerned about is getting what he wants and doing anything within his power to make that happen.
Oh, really?
What?
Yes, I will certainly let him know. Thank you. Well, it appears that Eric here is responsible for Butters missing because he wanted to go to Casa Bonita.
Number 13. His false claims about his mother. After pretending to have an iPad, Cartman is dismayed when his mother refuses to buy him a brand new one.
Well, good going, Mom. You've completely screwed me over.
Now feeling that his mom has screwed him over, he proceeds to publicly shame her in the worst possible way. His use of colorful language to describe her actions immediately evokes the wrong kind of reaction from those around him. Appearing on Dr. Phil, he uses the same choice of words, which to everyone else implies he was mistreated in some fashion.
I want you all to meet Eric Cartman, who's a very special boy with a very hard life.
The worst part is that he clearly knows what people think he's talking about and continues to proliferate a false narrative about what has happened. Number 12. He refused to donate his kidney to Kyle. $10 million was his price tag.
Cartman, you are so going to hell when you die. Yes, well, until then, I need about $10 million.
Kyle needed a kidney, and Cartman was the only compatible donor. Even with as much disdain as Eric has shown Kyle, you would have thought he'd have a little bit of compassion for the boy. Instead, he was content to see Kyle suffer and almost die as a result of his kidney difficulties. Although Cartman's true dark side wouldn't emerge for another season, this was definitely a stepping stone in that direction.
Give me back my kidney! Dude, please, Kyle needs it. It's mine, not yours, mine. Give it back right now or there's gonna be hell to pay!
It's made worse when you see how far Stan is willing to go to save his friend, all while Eric sits on the side asking what's in it for him. Number 11. He rigged the election. Cartman is hired by the Chinese to rig the 2012 election so Obama can force Disney to give Star Wars to them.
Cut the crap, Mouse. You only care about the election results because Romney would have been tougher on the Chinese.
Of course, Eric doesn't do anything unless there's something in it for him. His demands are simple. He wants to play Luke's son in a future movie.
So here's the deal, General Tsao, Mr. President. When the Chinese make the sequels, I get to play the part of Luke Skywalker's son. Cartman Skywalker.
Throughout the episode, it's made clear that Cartman could care less about democracy and the right to vote. He's a 9-year-old kid who's focused entirely on getting what he wants. We're treated to a journey that shows how far he's willing to go to get whatever he's set his sights on.
I don't think so, General Tsao. This way, officers!
Number 10. He went on a rampage with Cthulhu. Cartman often sees himself as the hero.
As we walked along the road to the grocery store, my coon sense started tingling. Something was wrong. Very wrong. I've learned to trust my coon sense. It has always been my guide.
And in the case of Coon and Friends, he literally tries to make himself into one as the titular character. Unfortunately, the rest of the kids disagree with him and go off to form their own superhero club. Most children his age would get mad and then eventually get over it, but not Eric Cartman.
And they all deserve to be sent into a dark oblivion! You can do that, right? Send people into a dark oblivion? Because that's what those buttholes deserve!
Instead, he summons the fictional character of Cthulhu and goes on a killing rampage, all to get back at his friends for being mean. Sure, there's plenty of comedy to be found in the bit, but it certainly goes far beyond any kind of revenge the average person would take.
Cthulhu, 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 Cthulhu.
Yeah!
Number 9. He started a ginger uprising. No matter how you spin someone like Cartman, there's no escaping the fact that he's likely one of the most hate-filled characters on television.
We've all seen them on the playground, at the store, walking on the streets. They creep us out and make us feel sick to our stomachs. I'm talking, of course, about ginger kids.
We've seen him exude distaste for various groups, and in this case, children with red hair. After being pranked by Kyle, Cartman appears to have become a ginger himself.
Poopsikins? Sweetie, what is...
It all backfires when he incites the other gingers around him to exterminate anyone who isn't as they are. Giant cages and lava pits aside, it's almost unfathomable how Cartman seems to turn on a dime in favor of killing people just because he feels he's been wronged.
Cartman? Oh, Jesus, I should have known.
When we begin here, we will take worldwide!
It illustrates just how disturbed he really is. Number 8. He made inappropriate videos. A whole lot could be said about those who take advantage of others who may not know any better.
It's actually really great you're volunteering now because our other little boy volunteer is just finishing up.
Oh, hey, Cal.
In this season 15 episode, Cartman somehow manages to find a way to exploit others for his own personal gains.
We made $1,000 in 11 days.
Knowing full well these kids have been born into substance use, he purposely pits them against each other, all in the name of profit. What's even worse is that he somehow manages to convince Kyle, one of the straight shooters on the show, that what he's doing is okay.
I got a job, Stan. I am making tons of money doing some really cool stuff.
Doing what?
Exploitation of any kind is awful, but it's far worse considering the ages of his victims. At least, in the end, Cartman does lose out to a smarter businessman. Number 7. He plowed through hippies. If there's one thing Cartman hates more than Kyle, it's hippies.
Yeah, they've been popping up all over the neighborhood lately. Miss Nelson next door had 7 hippies in her basement, and they usually live in colonies.
Never was this more apparent than in Season 9's Die Hippie Die. The town becomes overrun with the pot-smoking, drum circle-pounding freeloaders, to which Cartman isn't having any of it.
All right, in you go.
What are you doing, man? Let us out!
Get back, or you're all gonna get maced.
Sure, they do overtake the town and frustrate the locals, but that certainly isn't a reason to kill them off. With a plan to drive them out of town with death metal, we see the extent Cartman is willing to go to rid himself of their presence. His giant drill machine plows through crowds like they're nothing more than a field of grass.
We made it!
Get to the PA system now!
Number 6. He acted inappropriately towards Butters while he slept. As a kid, there are things you can get away with that would never be tolerated in the adult world.
But this is nothing compared to what I have planned, because tonight is going to be my coup de grace.
It's the sheer innocence and naivety of being young that offers a bit of protection we lose over the years. Still though, Cartman pushes the boundaries of acceptability when it comes to other kids.
What he means is that he's jealous that you've taken his place as my new best friend. But grow up, Kyle. Change is a part of life.
Somewhere in Eric's head, he thinks that inappropriate photos he's taken of Butters in his sleep are somehow funny. He gets a laugh out of putting Butters in compromising positions and has no clue how highly offensive and violating it really is. It's played out in a comedic fashion, but clearly shows us how warped Cartman's mind really is.
This picture you may find somewhat controversial. Ew! Dude.
Number 5. He faked having Tourette's syndrome. Upon learning of what Tourette's syndrome is, Cartman finds a way to make use of the illness to his advantage.
Are you telling me that if you have this Tourette's syndrome, you can say whatever you want all the time and never get in trouble?
It's a neurological disorder. He can't help it.
He spends most of this episode yelling and screaming out terrible hate speech, all while using his fake condition as an excuse. As offensive as Cartman can be, the cloak of his so-called illness gives him a golden ticket to get away with vocal atrocities he'd never otherwise be able to pull off. He never once considers the true weight of having such a condition.
Will you knock it off already?
Kyle, don't you think I wish I could? I'd give anything to be normal like you.
That is until his own fakery backfires and he starts spouting off random truths.
Whatever enters my brain, I can just say without thinking about it. I wet my bed last night.
It's one of the few times his sinister plans fall apart, and he surprisingly seems happy about it. Number 4. He became the new Fuhrer. For as long as the show has been on the air, audiences have seen Cartman direct plenty of negativity towards the Jewish faith.
I've seen The Passion 34 times now, Kyle. You haven't seen it once. There's even one part where the Jews have a chance to save Jesus, and you know what they do? They let Barabbas, a serial killer, go free instead and laugh about it.
Never was this more evident than after Cartman saw The Passion of the Christ. He rallied lovers of the movie together under the premise of a fan club. In reality, Eric's intentions are far more dire than simply fanboying out over a movie.
Yeah, Mom, I'm holding a meeting for all the people who love The Passion as much as I did.
Dressed as Hitler, he leads crowds of people into chants of anti-Semitism, all while reveling in their adoration. It's a scary reminder of our own history, and even more disturbing to see it coming from a 9-year-old.
Oh, mein Savior! Mein Fuhrer! You're actually here! Mr. Gibson, I have assembled the masses. We are ready to do thy bidding. Have I been a good boy, Mr. Gibson?
Number 3. He faked his way into the Special Olympics. Cartman learns that the winner of the Special Olympics is awarded a $1,000 cash prize.
You guys! I have the best idea ever! I'm gonna be rich!
Ever obsessed with acquiring the mighty dollar, he thinks he can simply fake a disability to gain admittance to the games. We are then treated to a montage showing how he's taking all the stereotypes of disabilities and turning them into something to make money.
Cartman, I will not stand by and let you cheat your way to winning the Special Olympics.
Why?
Because!
What are you gonna do, Kyle? Tell on me?
It never occurs to Eric that his lack of a disability is a gift that he should be thankful for. Cartman has no clue about the struggles of the people he's imitating and how the Special Olympics celebrates their achievements. It's therefore a gift of karma when we see him fail spectacularly.
Eric Cartman.
Ah, screw you, hippies!
Number 2. He gave Kyle HIV. After hearing that Cartman has accidentally contracted HIV, Kyle bursts out into uncontrollable laughter.
Poor old Kyle. He's really taking it hard.
Much like the audience, he sees Eric's new condition as a taste of karma given the terrible things he's done over the years. Who wouldn't want to see someone get a taste of their own medicine after a while? Eric Cartman, that's who. Enraged by Kyle's reaction, he purposely infects him with HIV, proving Cartman is nothing more than a selfish child with rage control issues.
Do you know how serious this is?
Well, Kyle, maybe I was just trying to prove a point.
It's a terribly spiteful act that further illustrates the lengths Cartman is willing to go to inflict misery into the lives of others.
He gave me AIDS. What? He purposely infected me with his HIV virus.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications.
Number 1. His revenge went too far. How far would you go to get back at your worst enemy?
So you can either give me back my $10 or I can go tell my mom on you.
If you're Eric Cartman, you apparently go all in. Scott Tenorman is the quintessential tormentor that seems to have the upper hand against Eric for much of this season 5 episode. But it's the final minutes that turn the tide of Cartman's sadistic behavior.
Yes, I'm afraid this isn't your chili, Scott. I switched it with chef's. It's delicious, chef. I hadn't planned on that.
We always knew he was mean, but resorting to murder and cannibalism goes far beyond anything audiences ever expected. Yet, even after all is said and done, seeing Cartman drink the tears of a distraught Scott just pushes the whole thing even further. It's here Cartman went from being just a mean kid to a full-blown sociopath.
Do you like it? Do you like it, Scott? I call it Mr. and Mrs. Tenorman chili.
Oh my God!
What do you think is the worst thing Eric Cartman has done? Let us know in the comments.
Butters, where did you get that kind of smart mouth?
Not from you, dumbasses, that's for sure.
Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from WatchMojo. And be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.